So hi all, and welcome back. I made this video once again about the double I took in the Ferrari collection. As I said, I think in another video I took, unfortunately for me, two models of this Ferrari F2004 in 1/24 scale, and they are coming from different collection, but they made a double subject, and I didn't know, so I bought both of them. And this video instead, I made it because I wanted to upgrade a little. The real upgrade should be made unassembling the kit and taking care of too many details that unfortunately in the probably very speedy build up of this model, where they did it somewhere in the world, I think Bangladesh, they didn't take care so much of the quality of the assembly, because this collection usually lacks in quality during the making of the models, despite they have quite nicer details, because as I said, these fine antennas in front of here are much more thinner than in the first editions. There is a slightly difference, but still is a kind of cheap model that you can have interesting for the scale, because I don't think that in 1/24 scale they did, maybe Revel did it, I don't remember honestly, a model of the Ferrari F2004 in this scale. But this video is made because I wanted to make the little slightly upgrade. As soon as I took the model, all the models of this car features a quite huge mistake in the rear wing, because probably it's assembled so badly over plastic that they are constantly moving, and so it always looks like folded in front. And you cannot do so much for the same issue the front of it, because it's anyway fronted on the pointed on the top, so you should probably cut it, and I didn't want to go for it. I constantly think it's not worth it on such type of model. The only stuff that I did it here, it was and it is what I would like to talk about in this video, to upgrade it with very very simple detail, that is the tobacco sponsorship that this Ferrari had. It was a Marlboro Ferrari, and many countries, of course, they cannot promote the tobacco sponsorship over a racing car. As a kind of hypocrisy that we have, that you can see the color and the logo, but you cannot see the writing. So I think it's still active today, this kind of lock. There is no longer the tobacco commercials over cars. It was famous after 1968, I think, where they started to promote in Formula 1, and now they basically disappear. So you have maybe a car that is completely painted like Lucky Strike colors, but you cannot read that is a Lucky Strike. Anyway, so this company, this is the leftover, of that sheet, decal sheet. Is a decal sheet that you can find in eBay, and TB Decals is the name of the company making them. I think is a guy making them from home. I took the envelope, and it was coming from a suburb of Napoli, and it is not so badly made. It's mostly around the quality of the details that is anyway probably okay for this type of model, but still very far away from the stuff that we do in our conventional models, when there is a professional painting and or services like I do use for my models, like that one that is the nearly completed decal sheet for the upcoming Porsche R7 that I'm making in 24 scale. So here the quality of the overall printing is not so nicely done like in ordinary model. The quality of the film, they give kind of options, for this film, and it's already, I hope that you can see through my camera, you see there is a slightly cut, for example, around that red band, because probably is a pre-cutted type of decal. I don't know if they are printed in Italy. I think there is a couple of services that do the same stuff, because the quality of the decal is extremely similar to the decal sheet we can use in slot cars. If you take the stuff coming from slot fabric is basically similar to this stuff, and it is extremely resistant. It's quite hard to cut. Also with an ordinary blade, is much more easy to strap it or to bend it than honestly to have a proper cut. So you have to think it before, take sharp scissors and cut as close as you can to the image that you want to use over the car. This model had the problem that the Marlboro, probably the trickiest part of the models, it is around that antenna, because to make a clean work like I will do in my model, Of course, you will apply the antenna after you make the decal and the polishing of the decal. You know, in Formula 1 cars, they absolutely didn't add that kind of step that you probably can still see here. And in the reality, they were much more like this, because this is a tampo decal, so it is tampographed over the body, and then they glossy that, you know. As well as you can see many fingerprints around the model. They are not my fingerprints, you know. I always use a glove when I do this kind of stuff, but this is the printings of the fingers of the people that assemble the model. So this also gives you an idea. Always remember that it is a stuff that is worth 30 euros, so it's not something that you pay so much, you know. 30 euros, usually you pay the decal sheet 30 euros, that costs 30 euros. So this is a decal sheet that I could have from Italian eBay, and I think I pay 15 euros including the expedition. So it's quite pricey, you know. It's nearly the half of the price of the entire model goes into the decal if you want to go for a tobacco. I really didn't know what to do, because anyway I want to keep the model. Maybe I plan to sell the other one that had a little cheaper showcase, you know. This is the series featuring the plastic solid showcase to place it over, so probably I will keep it. And so the hardest part is absolutely the one regarding that Marlboro decal over there, also because there is a kind of lot of details, plus an air intake in correspondence of the second O that is also slightly placed on the right, you know, of the printing, because the Marlboro have taller decals, so it is not completely straight over that. And to do the perfect holes, I use the punch and die. Punch and die tools is that one. It's a kind of tool that you can make precise, extremely precise hole hitting with a hammer, you know. So you don't have to make it an approximatively cut or a hole with a needle or something like that, even because, as I said, the decal is extremely vinylic, so it's extremely elastic, so you just risk to make a bend that will be extremely hard to fit over the model. I try to use the mark softener for guns, that is actually the strongest decal softener you can use for decal, but it is kind of hopeless because the decal is really vinylic and plastic. As you can see here, I try to do my best, but it is, despite I just applied the liquid, they are still like a kind of rubber, you know, so there is still a slightly detail, you know. Always have to consider the level of the model, as you probably can see. And this was also one of the other trickiest point in this type of card. I provide this type of decal covering everything. This should be, I think, the T-wing after the, I don't think it's a camera, I think this was the camera over the main air intake of the engine. So and yes, of course you have to cut it in the proper dimension, working on the edge, but as you can see it remains anyway a little bit rubberish, so is something that you have to deal with it, you know. It's part of the kind of decals coming from these TB decals. Another little mistake that they did, it was they didn't divide the rear decal, you know. In this model, probably the basic of the model in 24 scale was pretty decent, you know. It's just the assembly that is constantly a pain in that place, you know. As you can see, the front wheels are also here quite bended, you know. So it's really about bad mounting. Also the mirrors are not aligned, and also in my models also these side wings were very badly mounted. I just try to touch one and they break at once, so overall quality is not so well done. The same for the mountings of this side pods, you know. They should be made in carbon fiber. In the rear car they are blades, they are extremely thin. Instead here they have the tolerance and the dimensions of plastics, you know. Anyway, I think that the overall look is taken, despite, as I say, I wanted just to use, of course I have the colors to paint it in the proper way, but I think it's not worth it on this type of model. Probably the only next step I will do, just always avoiding to unassemble it, because when they are so already done, and probably so already badly done, if you try to disassemble it, then is more the damage that you risk to do it, you know. I was also looking, look for example at that line when there is the Brembo sponsor and the line of the plastic handle. On this side becomes that way, completely open, and this is a mistake in the plastic, you know. They are probably, there is some pins featuring that fins under that have been placed in the wrong position. So this is basically just a minor adjustment of this type of model that anyway gives a quite nice and a different look, you know, because they really take life. This Ferrari of 20 years ago, they really go to life when you place the proper sponsor over it, and became immediately much more special. You don't have to count about the money that you invest in this stuff, because of course if you start thinking the price of the model is, these are prices in Italy. Of course, if you are abroad, you have to add at least 20 bucks for the expedition of the model. So in Italy, this is a model that costs 30 euros plus 13 to 40 euros of decal. We are already 44, and make it 5 euros or 7 euros of expedition. You are way over already 50 euros. So that is the range of, and I still understand that for me still as an acceptable price, you know. So that's it. There is no instruction about the positioning of this decal, so I think it's absolutely better to create your own folder on your telephone about the position of the real sponsor, where they were on the real car, and try to copy it as much as you can. The critical point, just to finish it, remains the Marlboro decal in front and this one that I try to achieve in my best way, and I think it's still convincing stuff, even if I think if this should be a model that I made it from zero and simply building it, if there exists the model kit, probably will come absolutely nicer than this type of model, and absolutely with a different price range. I think just the kit of this cost around 50 euros, so without the tobacco sponsorship. So that's it guys, I hope you liked the video and see you in the next.